in LA, and his college days might be over, but he isn't done recruiting, offering his former quarterback in San Francisco, Colin Kaepernick, a coaching job. Kaepernick has not played in the NFL since 2016 after he sparked controversy by sitting, then kneeling during the national anthem before games to protest the police shootings of black men and other social injustices faced by the black community. Jim Harbaugh has expressed high regard for Colin Kaepernick's potential as a coach, noting he'd be a tremendous coach if that's the path he chooses. He mentioned that Kaepernick is considering coaching, but added that they haven't had further discussions on the matter since their initial talk earlier in the year. The party continues. Micah leaves, Nicole Briscoe. Hi, guys.
What's up?
This is so fun to be on TV with you. Of course, this girl,
Yes.
my girl,
Hello,
Kimberly,
hello.
and I got SA back in New York City. So I'm a happy camper. Thank you guys for being here.
Glad to be here.
Having us.
All right, SA, what do you think? This is interesting. Do you think Cap should take the Chargers coaching job?
He'd better. If he wants to be in the NFL, he better do it because this is it for him. You know, when he, years ago, when he took a knee and he was protesting, we all supported him. And he was certainly right to do so. It was in his right as an American citizen to do so. And the way the whole narrative was hijacked is a story for another day, but it was hijacked. And it made it into something far more political than it should have been. Nevertheless, ultimately, he was ostracized because of that. And I thought that was wrong. What I thought was right was when he refused to show up for that workout, where 26 teams showed up to evaluate him when the NFL, Rock Nation with Jay-Z and all of those guys orchestrated that for 26 NFL teams to show up with talent evaluators, scouts, player personnel directors, etc. 18 and 19 of whom were African-American, by the way. And they showed up, and he decided at the last minute to go to some place an hour and 20 minutes away at a high school football field. I said at that moment in time, it is over. Clearly, he wanted to be a martyr more than a football player. I said it then. I meant every word of it. Nobody's backing up from that statement. And I thought that was it. Here's where things get interesting now. Jim Harbaugh has major clout. He's an elite football coach. He's a reigning national champion at the University of Michigan that has now come back to the NFL after doing an outstanding job in the NFL as the coach of the San Francisco 49ers. Clearly, the franchise is his in Los Angeles with the Chargers. And if he has the power to bring him on as a coach, who's to say that he's going to be denied the opportunity to look at Kaepernick and say, you say you can still play, okay, Justin Herbert's our quarterback, but if you think you can make some contribution on the football field as a quarterback, let's say, for example, if Justin Herbert gets hurt or something like that. If you have him on your staff as a coach, who's to say you're not going to be able to give him an opportunity to play? And if Jim Harbaugh...
You got to be in football shape, Stephen.
I agree that. I agree.
He says he's still working out.
He's still working out.
But if Jim Harbaugh gives him the opportunity is all I'm saying.
This just took a twist I wasn't expecting, that's all.
Is all I'm saying.
So
that's what I'm saying. That's all I mean by that.
Okay, if I'm going to follow this logic here, he better take this coaching job so he could be closer to the NFL, but he could be with Harbaugh as a coach and then segue into being a player?
I'm saying, but I don't think it's going to happen.
Right.
Because he's been gone so long. I'm just saying there's nothing that's stopping, if you get him in as a coach in the NFL, there's nothing stopping you from ultimately putting him back on the field if you think he could do it and if he thinks he could do it, because Harbaugh would have that kind of clout.
We've seen odder trick plays. We've seen odder trick plays. Like if you bring him in and he's in your organization and now you see him working out, because this is a guy who has said for a long, long time, I still want to help a team. I still want to help a team win a championship, and he's still been working out. I'm not saying at 36, not having been in the game for 8 years, I think it's like the entirety of my youngest daughter's life. Right. I'm not saying it's a good idea, but I mean, we've seen weirder things happen.
No. Again, Aaron Rodgers is a New York Jet, so yes, we've seen weird things happen in the NFL, right? But my question, when I heard this question asked, should he take the job as a coach? My thing is, does he want to even be a coach? And what you just laid out is a scenario where via being a coach, he can do this and be back on the field. Then I don't want him as a coach. Sign him as a player. Like, if that's what the ultimate goal is, he thinks he can still play. It's been 8 years. 8 years ago, people didn't want him. Now, 8 years later, he's older. And you made a great point. People in the NFL believed he wanted to be a martyr more than be a football player.
That's right.
So I don't like the idea of Kaepernick as a player now. I have
a lot I want to say to you, but I want you to get into my.
Here is my thing about Colin Kaepernick. what happened to him is one of the worst travesties
Yes.
we've ever seen in American sports. Number
agree.
one.
I agree.
Number two, from him, I understand why, even going back to that workout you were talking about, he didn't like the things that they were trying to put on him in terms of parameters. He's like, no, they're trying to screw me again. I'm not gonna fall for the okie doke. I'm gonna go do something else. I understand why he did it.
And I don't necessarily even blame him for feeling that way.
That's my point. All right. Now it gets to the question of him in the NFL. Does he feel as if he needs the NFL in his life currently for any type of validation or anything? I believe that answer is no. So then it goes back to your point, Kim. Does he really want to coach? I think if he really wants to be a part of teaching young men and having an influence on the next generation, I think having this position only helps what he's trying to do off the field because of the direct access he has to young people.
If that's the goal,
If that's what he
love
wants.
it.
Because his stance has always been, since he's been out, I want to help a team win a championship. If that is your stance, then get back in the NFL in whatever capacity you can.
That's all I
This
was
is a guy who is
Yeah.
a leader. He's obviously going to stand up for what he believes in. He's obviously going to support you. So why wouldn't you want this guy in the locker room? Why wouldn't you around him, your young guy?
Well, depends on who you are.
Let me go back to a couple of points that you all brought up. We can understand his trepidation about signing the waiver years ago.
Exactly.
But the reality is that you had sued the NFL beforehand and reached a settlement. Most people that you sue and you reach a settlement with, you're not looking to go work for again. He was. And so because he was, the NFL, because I remember at that time, I'm on the phone that morning, half hour before First Take comes on the air, I'm on the phone with General Counsel. Their exact words, and they told me to quote them, "You damn right there's a different waiver. We're not a team. Usually individual teams bring you in for a workout. We've never conducted a league-wide workout in our life. Just finished suing us.
Right.
We're trying to protect ourselves." So they were unapologetic about it, and they made that very clear.
Fine.
So that's the point with that. In the end, what I'm pointing to, Colin Kaepernick has stated he wants to return to the NFL. That's what we've been hearing. And I'm saying if you want to return to the NFL,
This is it.
Jim Harbaugh
His guy.
that's your guy.
And here's the thing, Jim Harbaugh may be the only coach in the league willing to do it because of their history. And
he doesn't have to worry about, listen, if he's doing it, clearly he got the okay from the owners
100%.
because you know this better than me. There is no other owner that has given that okay.
Okay, so I'm just
League.
curious. I just want to back this up. So you're thinking that his thought process is, let me get my foot in the door as a coach, and then I'm going to become a quarterback? Like, that's the end game?
No, I'm not thinking he's thinking that. I'm saying if all of this noise that's been percolating about Colin Kaepernick should be in the NFL, Colin Kaepernick should still play. If you want to disrespect NFL players like that by being gone for 8 years and thinking that somebody could walk in after an 8-year absence and compete with today's players, be my guest. I'm saying based on all that has transpired, if indeed he wanted to get back in the league in any capacity, this is the way to do it. And once he's there, we can't put anything past Jim Harbaugh because Jim Harbaugh is that way.
I just took it more as it's the love of the game, right? It's the love of the game. I want to be a part of the NFL. That's my guy. And Harbaugh's looking at it as he can add real value to my locker room.
I'm saying we don't know what Harbaugh mind would come up with because he's such a brilliant coach that can figure out different ways to utilize anybody.
Just like,
he is the kind of person.
I feel like, hold on one second. Are we almost disrespecting NFL?
I just finished saying that.
NFL players.
I just finished saying that.
no, well,
Yes.
some of these backups, I don't know. Some of these backups right now could go into a workout and necessarily beat Colin Kaepernick.
I'm sorry,
Not some of them.
Like, Sam Darnold is a legitimate option for the Vikings right now. Do you mean to tell me that Colin Kaepernick, even after not playing for 8 years, Colin Kaepernick isn't a better option for some of these
There are
teams?
NFL people
I don't
who will
think he's the
definitely
better.
tell you that Sam Darnold is a better option
Yes,
than
I don't believe
Colin
he's a
Kaepernick.
better option.
But
There are
not-
NFL
some will,
GMs and scouts who will
But not
definitely tell you
everyone
that.
will. And there are, maybe not Sam Darnold, but there are others as backup quarterback options. Like, if you are desperate for a quarterback and you have him in your locker room, that is the point.
Let me ask y'all this
Have
question.
him
Let me
on
ask
your
everybody
team.
this question. Let me ask, including you, Molly. Let me ask everybody this question.
Including
Especially
you.
you.
Because she's
He should have
usually
said
asking the
especially
question.
you.
She's
Gonna
usually
break your
asking.
neck
Now
again?
I'm asking.
Okay.
Simple question. Can anybody stand up here right now and definitively rule out that even after an 8-year absence, if Jim Harbaugh had Colin Kaepernick on his coaching staff, Jim Harbaugh wouldn't take a look and if you keep it in shape, 36 years of age, right?
Right, 36.
You've been taking care
How
of yourself.
many years since he played?
8. I think
yeah.
like 8. I'm saying.
8.
I'm asking.
Do you know what I was doing 8 years ago?
No, this is not about you. I'm asking you a question.
I was
about Jim
little
Harbaugh.
Molly.
I'm
You know what I
asking
was
a
doing?
question about
I'll
Jim
tell you
Harbaugh.
exactly what I did. I was little Molly leaving NFL Network in California, scared on set with you and Skip Bayless.
Okay.
Okay, that was 8 years ago.
All right.
And look at me now.
Look at me now.
Grown woman.
Look at you now.
Okay,
Look at me now.
Professional agitator. But the
Flourished
point-
and blossomed.
the point is-
Okay, Stephen A., I'll give you that. I will say I can't 100% rule
Kimberley,
it
I
out.
didn't with Jim
And I'm
Harbaugh.
not
That's what I'm
knocking
saying.
Especially if somebody
Colin
gets hurt.
Kaepernick and Colin Kaepernick's talent by any means at all whatsoever. It's because he wasn't allowed to play. 8 years of not playing
agree.
football.
If there's any chance,
My goodness.
If there's any chance that Jim Harbaugh thinks this guy could still play,
Right.
why would you hire him as a coach?
Yeah, I totally agree with that.
That is what I'm
make
missing
sure-
from this
Make
whole
sure-
conversation.
Make intentions.
Why
Easy
be a
answer.
coach?
Not the
Easy
master
answer.
plan, not the
Easy-
master plan.
Hold on, it's not the master. It's an easy answer. It's a hell of a lot easier to get him in as a coach. If you're
He's already in the building.
You're in the building. You're in the building. When we talk to, there's a lot of people.
Stephen
that
A.,
wanna
it's
Think
like
about it,
being
no.
in the building. It's like, oh, okay, right now you're sweeping up the floors, and then you're the janitor, and then the next day you're going to come on TV.
It's the same.
No.
Now, Josh,
No, I understand the
it's
logic.
so
I understand the
different.
logic.
It's completely-
If Harbaugh said we're inviting,
Listen,
if
it's
Harbaugh said
completely different.
we're inviting Colin Kaepernick to try out for a backup quarterback position, it would be way more fervor behind that if he
Yes.
said I'm going to bring him onto my coaching staff.
Okay,
In the
I'll give you a
100%.
better analogy.
In the building.
But in the NFL, we've had, now I'm not comparing the talent, we've had Josh McCown go from playing in the NFL to being a coach. And when he's on that staff, they're not saying, you know what? Josh McCown.
Oh, you missed something. This man was coaching high schools, and the Texans tried to offer him the head coaching job.
Yes.
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 Oh, weirder things
we're
have
talking
happened.
about going from
Way
being
weirder.
a coach
Okay.
to being a player, like going
so
back
maybe
to
we should
playing.
get like Dave McKinnon should Cassandra Khan, one of the producers. Maybe they should fill in for you.
Sure.
Yeah, they should take a
Sure.
producer job.
You know he's not-
And then maybe,
Sure.
you know,
Hey, I'll say
some-
this. I'll say
things
this.
in the
You
fan-
always are.
things
In
in the
our
fan they
business
could
model,
fill in, 'cause you
Molly,
could produce and
Molly,
then you could
in
be
our
on there.
business, there have been times where producers have had to go on air to report live information based on breaking news.
Yes.
That happens.
And for what
the only
it's
reason
worth-
they were there because they were in the building.
Doug Flutie and Chad Henne both went longer than what Kaepernick has been out. I'm not saying it's an ideal situation, and I'm not even saying that when they came back, they were even shells of their former selves. But they did go longer than the gap that
Between
we're currently
starts.
talking
That's a good
about
point.
between Kaepernick and what it would
Excellent
be
point.
if he made it to the field
My
again.
only reason for bringing up the point is this is Jim Harbaugh we're talking about.
So nothing
You
is off the
can't-
table is what you're
Nothing's
saying.
off the table. That's all I'm trying to say.
If you're trying to make a
Nothing.
transition to do it,
Nothing's off
that
the
would
table
be
with him.
easier
Right.
than
Can't
if
rule
you
it
just
out.
brought him out there to training camp.
Jim Harbaugh.
I would think Jim Harbaugh would say, I believe in this guy as a player. I've seen him, we've talked, I want him on this roster.
He already
I'm
said that.
signing him.
He
I
said
know,
that. He already
said that.
He said
right.
that
But
years
then,
ago.
but
Still hadn't worked. He was trying to pushing. He was behind Kaepernick supporting
right
him.
now, I would rather Jim Harbaugh say definitively, I want him as a player.
That's going to
hope-
grab more naysayers. That's going to be more
And that's the thing.
inflammatory.
Are we talking football? Now we're scared about what people are going to say? If that's what you believe,
Yes.
100%.
Listen,
Yes.
you're a soap opera star.
100%.
So these conspiracy
100%.
theories are right up your alley. So I'm just not there
I
with
just
you.
hope Colin Kaepernick takes this opportunity because he wants to be a coach.
That's it. That's all I'm
and
saying.
because he can continue what his real work is in a different capacity, influencing young
Can I give
men.
you a scenario? Let me give you a scenario.
Talk to
Let me
me.
crystallize.
Talk to me.
He comes in as a coach.
Yeah.
Hypothetically, he comes in
Oh,
as a
God.
coach. He comes in as a coach.
You run the bootleg?
Okay. Justin Herbert gets hurt.
Yes.
Yeah.
Justin Herbert.
Oh,
this is what
yeah.
she does. This is what she does.
yeah.
Go ahead.
Fine. Hey, take the whistle. Take the whistle.
Justin Herbert
Here
gets
I
hurt.
go.
Yes.
Justin Herbert gets hurt. All of a sudden, you got people working out in practice. Meanwhile, because you know this, you got coaches all the time. What are they doing? They're trying to stay in shape. They're in the gym. They're doing all of this other
That
stuff.
was my
You looking at Kaepernick.
argument.
You look at
He's a
wait a minute. He
solid
looks in
backup.
shape.
Yes.
He
He's a
playing
solid
around. He
backup.
playing around in practice. He flinging the football 50 yards, something like that. He going like this. Well, damn.
We got one right here.
I'm going to have more faith in him
I
than I am
do.
in some
Come on now.
other backups.
It's not far-fetched.
It's not nearly as far-fetched
It's not far-fetched.
as
I gotta
they
go.
feel to Kim.
It's not
I think
far-fetched.
Kim doesn't like the
What network?
The messiness
What
of it.
network? am
I don't
on
like
right
the
now?
messiness of it either because I feel like it's a two-question thing. What Stephen A. presented was like the mashup of both worlds, and I don't think it's going to be that way. That made it real ugly and not at all transparent. But if the question is, does he still want to be involved in the NFL? Does he still want to help make a team better? Does he still want to be in any capacity? Then yes,
Those
take the
answers are
coaching
yes.
job.
Yes.
Then yes, then take the coaching
Right.
job because that is your way back in. And let's not bring in the player stuff.
But I'm not
That would
saying,
be gravy.
I'm not saying take the coaching job to become a player. I'm saying
just
once
saying
he's
it,
there,
just
once
put
he's
it in
there as
there.
a
You
coach,
might just
this
be
is
there.
Jim Harbaugh.
Anything is possible.
Anything is possible.
It might be the Super Bowl. Herbert might go down, and you never know.
I'm just saying.
Well, that's an exaggeration.
Let's ease up on that one.
That's crazy.
Ease up on that one.
Molly,